USF1, we're coming at you right quick with our Constructors Cup rankings for the 2025 season.
USF1 fans, guess who got out from behind the camera? It's Boogie, and I'm joined by the normal
Nicky.
Cookie.
And we're going to talk about where we think the Constructors are going to land this year.
I like it, Boogie. I like seeing you out from behind that camera. It's
I don't belong out here. I'm so nervous. My palms are sweaty. I got spaghetti on my
which
shirt.
is weird because he doesn't shut up.
Speaking of not shutting up,
glasses.
let's talk about where we think the Constructors are going to be. I think some of us got this right, and some of us got it not so
Let's work
right.
from the bottom up.
Whoa. These are predictions.
Let's work from the bottom up. So I think logically, everyone says kick Sauber. The last few years, they've been crap.
Yeah.
They're not going to be putting much money into it this year because they're gone. It's going to be Audi Sauber next year.
They only have one good driver.
They got Nico.
We don't know yet.
So you both put kick Sauber 10th.
10th.
Dead last.
Easy.
I was close to that,
Yes.
but F Haas. Okay. F
Wow, someone's bitter about the breakup.
Yeah. Okay. I don't like breakups. I don't deal well with them. I will slander you. I will tell lies, whatever, to make me feel better. So because of that, and Ollie Behrman, you got a rookie.
Yep.
And who else? What do they got? Ocon? Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not Akon, so he's not a good rapper.
No, but he's still.
No.
I think Ocon's the only reason that they're not dead last.
When Haas finishes
I'm telling you,
10th,
Behrman.
talk to me.
Behrman is going to be the reason that they do not finish that low.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
So we have kick Sauber all pretty low.
Yes.
I put him at 9th. You just flip-flopped Haas and kick Sauber with me, so we're all on the same page. The weird part here is that not only do I have Haas 10th, you have him 9th. You put Haas at 6th.
Yes.
Explain.
Ollie Behrman and Akon.
But that's the two reasons I said they were going to finish
Because they
10th.
did so good.
You have a rookie in a car with a team with no money, and you think he's going to drag them
got
up
plenty of
into
money.
6th place.
All they need, and they will,
Is a miracle?
all they need is a miracle.
All I need is you.
All they need is a 1-2 finish, 2-3 finish, and it basically pushes them up to the top portion. But they're going to have a lot of top fives, especially with Ollie and Ocon. They're going to have with these two drivers, no disrespect, Ocon is going to have a average 6th place finish this year.
Wow. So I think that Nicky bought way too much into the Haas's new reserve driver, Jesus from the Middle East.
Yeah.
I don't think that Jesus is going to.
I don't want to talk about nonsense because if we want to get into crazy picks, you have the craziest. So I don't want to. We'll get into that because right now we're just in. What are we in 9th?
Okay.
Okay.
So, yes, you have Haas a little higher than what's going to happen because you're
Yes.
saying. Now, it is crazy. Like, from 8 through 5, we're kind of all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see. This is probably the biggest disrespect. Aston Martin is considered a top 5. Every time you go onto DraftKings or any type of betting site, you have your top 5. You have your McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston Martin, top 5, and then it's who's going to do the best of the bottom 5. I'm saying Aston Martin is not even a top 5 anymore.
So you think they're going to have historic failure?
Not
and end up in
only
8th?
not only are they not going to be in the top 5, where they should finish is 5th. That's what they're supposed to do because they are the suckiest of the top 5.
Yep.
I think they're going to do so terribly that they're going to be 8th.
I agree with you. You would only have one racer on that team because Lance Stroll doesn't want to be there, and
He's terrible.
and he sucks.
You should respect this, that we have Stroll doing so bad that
So I don't-
Alonso
yeah.
can't lift him up further than 8th or 7th place as Nick has him.
I don't disagree
You know what?
with yeah.
You know what? I think you guys are starting to sway me a little bit because if you remember, just 18 months ago, well, it's been a little bit longer, just 20 months ago, who was bottom of the barrel in the Constructors? It was McLaren. And what did they do? They turned it around. In 18 months, they went from last to winning the Constructors Cup.
Okay.
So I could see the reverse.
Yes,
The
I was going to say
inverse of that happening, where a team as good or historically as good as Aston Martin could fall off a cliff just in time to rebuild and come back up
for
and-
26.
So you know what? You guys talked me into it. I think
You got him at fifth, though.
maybe,
You got him at fifth.
maybe,
You got him at
maybe
fifth.
you
He's gotta
guys are
stay.
right. Maybe
See,
they'll
my
do that.
thought with him putting him at fifth is such a boring, easy pick. It's like, oh,
That's
they're
why I
supposed to
didn't-
finish fifth.
that's why I didn't
And I,
do it.
I don't respect
They're
that. I get
they're
it.
by far and away the worst of the big teams. That's why I put them in fifth.
I moved him 2 spots.
They're the middle of the pack of the bad teams for me.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you moved him even farther, so I do like
I
that.
could see where you're coming from, and you know what? I think they're not going to fall that far, but I would not be surprised with your argument.
Okay.
Kind of
I just think Stroll sucks, and I think that's a great point that you made, that what teams are going to invest. And if it's early into the season and you're struggling and you know a new car is coming out in 26,
You don't care.
Just send it in. If they're thinking, well, maybe we do finish 8th and then our 26 car comes out great and we can finish in the top 3 of the Constructors' Cup. But they're not putting good drivers in the seats. You're telling me Stroll and Alonso are
But they
good
have
enough to finish
Newey.
top
But
5?
Newey just came over from Red Bull. But
Yeah.
but
And
it's
he
going to
is-
be how much he's going to work on this
he's
car, or if he's just
concentrating next
concentrating
year.
on six.
That's
He
what
is
I think.
concentrating on
Yes,
next year.
we're all on the same page there. So let's get into something that we all kind of agree on. Williams, 6, 7, 8. Boogie has him at 6. I have him at 7. Nick, you have him at 8.
Yeah.
All kind of just not great. Okay.
I wanted to move him 7th, but I didn't. Maybe I should have put Williams a little higher than Aston Martin
they're
or
gonna be-
Haas even.
That's
so,
what I flip-flopped him with Aston. That's the only difference between you and me with Aston and Williams.
They're going to be the best of the rest.
Okay.
Because they have Carlos this year, and I think that he helps that team become the best of the rest. I don't think they break the top 5 though.
So you're saying basically because of Carlos Sainz, that puts him at 6th, the best of the rest.
Yes.
Okay.
And yet Nick and I both have Alpine above Williams.
Yeah. Not even the best of the rest for me.
Yeah.
They're not even the best of the rest for us yet, because I got 6th place Haas and you have Alpine.
So I have Alpine 6. We already talked about you putting Haas at 6, which is insane.
Yeah.
I think Alpine at 6, them being the best of the rest, I don't think it's a terrible argument because I think
think so,
Gasly is going to be a stud this year.
He is.
I think Gasly's going to have a great year. I can't remember where I put him finishing. I think I had him 9th.
We all had him ninth.
Ninth.
Yeah, we had him at
him
9th.
Yeah.
They started off horrible last year. If Gasly would have started the season like he did halfway through after Flavio came back, they would have been the best of the rest, which they were. They were in 6th place last year by a lot higher margin. So that's why I think that they can surpass Aston Martin. So,
Well, I think Alpine and Williams are going to be very similar this year, and
Yeah.
so I brought it down to who I think has the best driver. Just
Carlos,
like,
I agree with you on
I think
that.
Carlos is better than Gasly. I think they're very close, but I think
Yeah.
Carlos is won more and is more proven, so that's why I gave the nod
And
to
I can agree
Williams.
with
But
that.
I can
Yeah.
see them.
And you and I
flip-flopping,
were
you
6,
know.
7, flip-flop on the 2, and that's a great argument that Sainz is
agree.
better than Gasly. I
Yeah.
could get that. Now let's get into the top 5.
yes.
So this is now your typical top 5. You were saying who's the best of the rest. Top 5. I have the Baby Bulls. I knocked Aston Martin. I knocked Aston Martin all the way to 8th. If I have Aston Martin out of that top 5, who fills it? Who fills that 5th spot? RB.
Yes.
Baby Bulls. V-Carb coming in there. Why?
Because Isaac Hajar.
Because Isaac Hajar finishes not only in the top 10 but 6th overall this
The
season.
best
He's
rookie.
got Baby Bulls finishing just behind.
Yes.
The Red Bull.
Yes.
Red Bull
I
team.
loved it. I have it back
Christian
to back.
Horner's head would explode if that happened in real life.
Not to
love
jump
it.
too far ahead,
I
but I
love it.
literally have a Red Bull teams back to back 4-5.
Wow.
I have Red Bull 4th, RB 5.
Would make it for the best season of all time.
And it's great to me because
So-
Red Bull has to be like, well, it's the worst best ever. It's the worst ever because Red Bull finished 4th, but it's the best because our baby team finished 5th.
I don't think they're going to care. It's going to be a tragedy of a season, and people are going to get fired, and their sponsor's going to be Monster next year if they finish fourth.
You have Red Bull at 9th. You have them at 8th. I have them all the way at 5th. And we already talked about you having Aston Martin at 5th. So who do you have at 5th? You have Alpine.
I put
Nick?
Alpine. I think that they're, because of Pierre
Okay. And I have him at 6. That's not far
and
off.
because of Franco Colapinto,
Well, yeah, if you
is why they're
his wild
so.
card. Yeah.
If that doesn't happen, then things are going to be a lot different. But because Colapinto comes in, race 4, 5, and or 6 is why I put him that high.
I kind of agree with you more now that Williams is going to finish at Alpine. I only had them 1 apart because even if Sainz and Gasly are the same, now we're comparing a Doohan who he's saying isn't even going to make it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Colapinto comes in, can he really get enough points?
Well, he thought Colin Pinto was going to, just finished in 11th for the drivers.
Well,
he would have
how
to finish
well do you think
amazingly.
Alex Albon is going to do for Williams?
But don't you think Albon is better than Duhan? Obviously you
But
do.
he's not better than Calapinto, I don't think.
But will Calapinto be far behind enough that Albon...
6 races, so no, I think he
Okay.
can. So you got 6 races where Albon can possibly DNF, crash, or just
I like this
retire the
debate
car.
between
So,
Williams and Alpine because I think it's two teams that can be forgotten, and I think they're going to be close.
I think that it's going to be between those.
It's going to be a
two
good battle.
Teams. It's gonna
I
be
think
a
it's going to
battle.
keep the rests of the
Yeah.
the
best of the rest?
The best
Yeah.
of the rest, I think, is actually going to be exciting this year because I think it matters between Williams and Alpine. I think it matters.
But it really matters for the Baby Bulls when they finish in the top 5.
Yes.
5th overall, so don't get too excited about that.
Every time Max Verstappen.
Now, scrolling through, now it's when it gets easy. So the top 4, we all have the same top 4 in a different order, logically,
Yeah.
but we all have Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, and Red Bull in one order or another. Now, what I'm going to question here,
Best teams. So, yeah.
I'm going to go to Boogie first. You have Max Verstappen winning it all,
Yes.
which I understand your logic. He's the GOAT. He's the Tiger Woods. Prove me wrong. The car's the same. But you have Red Bull finishing 3rd in the Constructors' Cup.
Because he thinks
I think-
Lawson's going to shit the bed.
I think that this year is going to be very similar to last year, where you have Max carries Red Bull by himself, puts them on their shoulders, which is
Okay.
enough to win the championship, but is not enough to win the Constructors. Lawson does okay, just like Sergio did okay, and they end up, the number 3 team like they did last year. I think it's very similar to how it was last year.
That makes sense. So you both have Mercedes 4th, and the only reason I put him in 3rd,
Because you hate Red Bull.
well, I do hate Red Bull. I don't think Lawson, where did I put Lawson? I put him 10th,
Yeah.
but I had Verstappen. Where did I have Verstappen finishing?
I think 3rd.
I can't. Yeah, 3rd.
3rd.
So between that math, it pushed them all the way down to 4th. Otherwise, we all have Red Bull and Mercedes 3, 4,
Yeah.
which means that all 3 of us have Ferrari, McLaren 1, 2.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, because, they had the strongest cars last year.
Yeah.
Their cars were
Strongest
really good.
team. Like you said, Verstappen is a one-man show this year, whereas McLaren has, although I didn't respect Piastri very well, that's my fault, but I mean, is anything sexier, more exciting than Ferrari this year?
Because of Hamilton?
Because
no.
of Hamilton and Leclerc. It's like the
That
most,
guy- I mean, it's the most beautiful
I was
team ever.
just going to say, it's the hottest team
Yeah.
in the history.
They're gorgeous, but you have 2 just number 1 drivers
Yeah.
on the same team. There's not enough team to go around for 2 number 1s. Ask McLaren last year. They almost lost the Constructors, and they definitely cost Lando a chance at winning a world championship because they were trying to do 2 number 1 drivers. I think you're going to see that in Ferrari, and they stumble. Ferrari historically has shot themselves in the foot when they have 2 really good drivers there. I think they trip over their own feet, and they cost themselves a Constructors.
You're saying not by much. You're still saying they're going to finish
Yeah.
second.
Pretty close, second.
They
Nicky-
have 2 incredible drivers,
Yes.
but if you have 2 incredible drivers fighting for podiums every single time, that's going to help your Constructors. But that, they cancel each other out. That's why I think Max comes in and steals another world championship, because you got 2 drivers that are fighting. And all year, let's be honest, all year, what's going to be the top 5? Podium all year is going to have probably a Red Bull, probably a Mercedes, and probably a Ferrari on the podium.
Well,
And McLaren.
Oh, I'm sorry,
McLaren.
and McLaren, not Mercedes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
McLaren.
McLaren.
I was
They're
like,
going to be on the
Mercedes.
podium all year. And you're going to see a lot of times where you're going to see 2 McLarens or 2 Ferraris on the podium all year. So I think it's going to be a really, really tight battle between them. But Ferrari, trips over themselves.
You're saying you're never going to see 2 Red Bulls on the podium?
No.
I agree with you. I have them in 4th, so I agree with you there. I don't know. I agree with what you're saying. I think sometimes when you have 2 number 1s, it doesn't work, because you look at sports and you can have the best players and you don't have maybe a team that works well together. But I think sometimes it does. You have dream teams that sometimes it works.
Yes.
And if they understand, hey, this race I'm winning, just block for me. Next race you're winning, I'll block for you. Like, don't just give someone the race. Let them race for it every time. And if they're always competing,
Yeah, but that's what McLaren learned last year. Is their drivers learned how to switch. Because what did we see? We saw Oscar get given a win
Yes.
by Lando, who
Yes.
kind of fought it. But then what happened later on in the year?
They gave it back.
He gave it back, right?
No.
So they kind of learned how to work as a team
But
together.
at that
but I don't
time-
think Ferrari has learned that. So it's going to take them some time for those two number ones to learn that.
But when Norris gave it, or when Piastri gave it back, or whenever they flip flopped, there was no chance of a driver championship at that time. So it makes it a little easier when you're not fighting for that. So,
Yeah.
And I don't, I think they're going to be far enough apart where I think Leclerc is going to be far enough ahead that doesn't even happen. I don't think it's the same as a Norris Piastri situation.
I think the
because-
first 5 to 10 races, it could be crazy because
It could be.
it's going to be like, no, I want it, I want it. I think it's not until maybe halfway through the season when, say, Leclerc's up 20 points, then it's going to say, hey, concede that point, concede that point.
So if one of the drivers, for Ferrari or McLaren, if one of the drivers gets a lead, then I think the other driver would definitely support him. But I don't think that you're going to come in and you're going
No.
to tell Lewis Hamilton,
Not day
hey,
one.
you're my number 2 guy.
Not day one.
That's just not going to happen.
But I love that he gets the ability. Say, prove us. 3-4 races in, be beating Leclerc in the points, and we'll say you're one.
yeah.
Make us pick a one and make it be you. They would love that in Ferrari. And like you said, red's a beautiful color.
Yes.
2 beautiful men.
Oh
If you're
my
not rooting
gosh.
for Ferrari this year, I think you got a problem.
I'm
got
rooting for. I'm going to be rooting for Ferrari.
I look
There's
huge.
2 beautiful dudes. Just throwing it out there. My wife loves them.
I don't like their shade of red this year.
I love it.
I'm rooting for Ferrari and I'm rooting for Nico. That would be a beautiful trio right there.
I'm rooting for Carlos.
Okay.
I want to see some podiums out of Carlos.
I
this year.
I am too. And if he can get a podium,
Yeah.
being on Williams,
That would be
huge.
huge.
Give some
That'd
love
be
to Isaac Hajar too.
and a couple podiums for Isaac Hajar. I want to see.
I am rooting that Hajar finishes at least one race.
Just throwing it out there.
Finishes one race. He's not
I'm
Lance.
rooting for you, buddy.
He's not Lance Stroll.
Let's all agree. Last year probably was the one of the best seasons in F1 history, with how many 7 winners.
It's the only one I've ever seen. So yeah, it's the best I've ever seen.
Well, think of 23. How would
I
you
looked back at the stats. I didn't watch any of the races, but
would you got into to F1 just saying like Max?
Yeah, what did he win? Like all but 2 races the entire season?
Yeah, pretty much. Red Bull
know who
won
beat
every
him?
race except for Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, Carlos Sainz.
Carlos Sainz was the only winner
And he still got fired from Ferrari.
on
crazy.
Ferrari.
That's nuts.
On Ferrari. So I think this year is going to be even better than last year.
I hope so.
And I want to see, there's a lot of rookies. I want to see rookies on the podium in winning races this year.
So
that
that-
would make it the best.
So we're really close to actually getting to see our first race.
You
know what?
it's
I
coming
think
up
you
Sunday.
guys
It's coming up
should
Sunday.
talk about that.
Yes.
And I think we'll bring that to you tomorrow. These guys talking about the first race of the year.
Yep, we're gonna bring you Australia, baby.
Aussie.
Love ya.
Follow us on YouTube at the United States of F1, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at United States F1. Copyright Brugman Media Limited 2025.